morning, girls. It's Tuesday and I got a haircut. Okay, so the haircut was my payment for doing the logo design for a friend. You girls would have seen it in our super secret Facebook group. I basically did the logo for a friend who's opening a new business. It's going to take a while to get used to. I haven't had a haircut in almost 2 years. Now, this week's theme is our favourite scenes and reading them. And I'll be doing 2 because my last week's challenge, which I didn't get done last week, was to act out my favourite scene. So the 2 scenes I'm doing is the one I'm acting out will be the Harry meeting Draco in Madame Malcolm's. It's one of my favourite scenes. The other one I'm doing is, when thinking about my favourite scenes, I realised that pretty much all of them were in Philosopher's Stone. So I'm actually going to be reading the opening text, because it's probably one of my favourites. It just really introduces you into the story really well, and I've always loved it, so I'll be reading that. You have to give me time to prepare. I'm not very good at reading out loud. The first chapter I know really well because both Hungarian Horntails, the really slightly annoying Wizard Wrock band, and also the Moaning Myrtles both did songs based on that. So I've almost memorised that text, so I should be able to read it aloud for you. Now, the other challenge I've had this week is to introduce my best friend, or best friends, and I'm going to be doing that. My friend Jason is coming around this afternoon just for it, and I'll probably get Glenn on here if he approves. It's funny, this week's gone really quickly for me, and I think these next few weeks before Leahy are going to go so quickly. I can't believe we're so close. Every time I look at the countdown, I've got so much to do, and I'm excited, but I'm so nervous that it's so close. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley at number 4 Privet Drive were proud to say they were perfectly normal. Thank you very much. They were the last people you'd expect to be involved in anything strange or mysterious, because they just didn't hold to such nonsense. Mr. Dursley was the director of a firm called Grunnings, which made drills. He was a big, beefy man with hardly any neck, although he did have a very large moustache. Mrs. Dursley was very thin and blonde, and had nearly twice the usual amount of neck, which came in very useful as she spent so much of her time craning over the garden fences spying on the neighbour. The Dursleys had a small son named Dudley, and in their opinion there was no finer boy anywhere. The Dursleys had everything they wanted, but they also had a secret. The greatest fear was that someone would discover it. They didn't think they could bear it if anyone found out about the Potters. Mrs. Potter was Mrs. Dursley's sister, but they hadn't met in several years. In fact, Mrs. Dursley pretended she didn't have a sister, because her sister and her good-for-nothing husband were as un-Dursleyish as could possibly be. The Dursleys shuddered to think what the neighbours would say if the Potters arrived on the street. The Dursleys knew that the Potters had a very small son too, but they had never seen him. The boy was another good reason to keep the Potters away. They didn't want Dudley mixing with such children like that. I won't read the whole chapter. It's so tempting to read the whole chapter because the whole chapter is amazing, like this whole book is amazing, but I think I'll stop there, otherwise this will just go on forever. So I'm not very good at reading aloud. It's one of those things I never really mastered. When I read books, I sort of skim read. I take in the information, but I don't put the words in order in my mind. So having to read it aloud and then say it, it's just, yeah, I've never been good at it. So yeah, I'm probably going to get Glenn to read the passage for my my puppet show, because he's much better at it than I am. And that means I can move all the bits around. I haven't quite finished making them all yet, but I can give you a bit of a preview of ones I have made. Now, I have to tell you, I lied again. I said that I would do 2 scenes this week because I missed out on last week, but it's literally taken me all week to make these, so I haven't had enough time to make a whole nother scene's worth. But that's a preview of what they look like. I love my Hagrid. I think I had trouble drawing him at first, but then he came out really well. And there we go. And I've got a few more bits and pieces, but they're what I'm drawing now, and hopefully you'll enjoy the scene. This will be at the end of my video, once I finish making it. I'm filming this on my still camera at the moment, because I wanted to film the puppet show on my still camera. because the quality is just a little bit better and it's easy to edit. But I generally don't use it because it uses up all of the batteries just to video stuff, so it's not practical as a video camera all the time. It ended up being as I suspected though this last week. Most of us are just so nerdy that trying to find non-nerdy things is quite the challenge. I should also mention that this is probably the first week I've ever recorded with a sort of tripod. Look, free hands! It's just constructed of all of Glenn's course books from his uni course. They're all on biology mostly. There you go. Have a look at them. And
one wild cart ride later, they stood blinking in the sunlight outside Gringotts. Harry didn't know where to run first now that he had a bag full of money. He didn't have to know how many galleons there were to a pound to know that he was holding more money than he'd had in his whole life. More money than even Dudley had ever had. "Might as well get your uniform," said Hagrid, nodding towards Madame Malkin's robes for all occasions. "Listen, Harry, would you mind if I slipped off for a pick-me-up in the leaky cauldron? I hate them Gringotts carts." He did still look a bit sick, so Harry left Madame Malkin's shop alone, feeling nervous. Madame Malkin was a squat, smiling witch dressed all in mauve. "Hogwarts, dear," she said, when Harry started to speak. "Got the lot here. Another young man being fitted up just now, in fact." In the back of a shop, a boy with a pale, pointed face was standing on a footstool, while a second witch pinned up his long black robes. Madame Malkin stood Harry on a stool next to him, slipped a long robe over his head, and began to pin it to the right leg. "Hello," said the boy. "Hogwarts too?" "Yes," said Harry. "My father's next door buying my books, and mother's up the street looking at wands," said the boy. He had a bored, drawling voice. "Then I'm going to drag them off to look at racing brooms. I don't see why first years can't have their own. I think I'll bully father into getting me one and I'll smuggle it in somehow." Harry was strongly reminded of Dudley. "Have you got your own broom?" the boy went on. "No," said Harry. "Play Quidditch at all?" "No," said Harry again, wondering what on earth Quidditch could be. "I do. Father says it's a crime if I'm not picked to play for my house, and I must say, I agree. You know what house you'll be in yet?" "No," said Harry, feeling more stupid by the minute. "Well, no one really knows until they get there, do they? But I know I'll be in Slytherin. All our family have been. Imagine being in Hufflepuff. I think I'd leave, wouldn't you?" Said Harry, wishing he could say something a bit more interesting. "I say, look at that man," said the boy suddenly, nodding towards the front window. Hagrid was standing there, grinning at Harry and pointing at 2 large ice creams to show he couldn't come in. "That's Hagrid," said Harry, pleased to know something the boy didn't. "He works at Hogwarts." "Oh," said the boy, "I've heard of him. He's sort of a servant, isn't he?" "He's the gamekeeper," said Harry. He was liking the boy less and less every second. "Yes, exactly. I heard he's a sort of savage. Lives in a hut in the school grounds, and every now and then he gets drunk, tries to do magic and ends up setting fire to his bed." "I think he's brilliant," said Harry coldly. "Do you?" said the boy with a slight sneer. "Why is he with you? Where are your parents?" "They're dead," said Harry shortly. He didn't feel much like going into the matter with this boy. "Oh, sorry," said the other, not sounding sorry at all. "But they were our kind, weren't they?" "They were a witch and wizard, if that's what you mean." "I really don't think they should let the other sort in, do you? They're just not the same. They've never been brought up to know our ways. Some of them have never even heard of Hogwarts until they get the letter, I imagine. I think they should keep it in the old wizarding families. What's your surname, anyway?" But before Harry could answer, Madame Malkin said, "That's you done, my dear." And Harry, not sorry for an excuse to stop talking to the boy, hopped down from the footstool. "Well, I'll see you at Hogwarts, I suppose," said the drawling boy. Harry was rather quiet as he ate the ice cream Hagrid had bought him. It gives me character.
Now for this week's challenge was to introduce...
Yeah, she's not going to be over the honest solid face with that.
was to introduce my friend, so I guess I better.
Cool, let's start with me.
This is nice.
Hi, guys.
Girls.
He's cool.
Girls.
Girls? What? Hi, girls.
This is Luke.
Hi, girlies.
And this is
You know me
Lynn.
from the other day.
Yeah.
My goodness, that can't be good story.
I've known these guys since school, and they're probably the only of my friends I still know well.
Aww.
And aww. Luke and Maz helped me film my puppet show, which you'll see shortly. You'll probably recognise Maz's voice as the charming narrator.
He's a fantastic person, you should love him.
and Luke's hands as our second in command puppeteer. It was interesting trying to pick my favourite themes, sections from Harry Potter this week, and I realised that pretty much all of them are from the first book. So, some of the ones I didn't pick, which were high on the list, were Harry at the zoo and releasing the boa constrictor on his cousin. I like that one quite a bit. Well, not obviously, but his first meet with Hagrid at the shack by the ocean. And the other one, which is actually the only one not from this book, which I would say would be my favourite, would be the duel in the girls' bathroom between Harry and Draco in Half-Blood Prince, the Sectum Sempra scene. I don't know, I always like that one. I really look forward to seeing what you do, Sarah, for your challenge. If you don't remember, I wasn't very specific on dates, but your challenge was to play Wizard Wrock somewhere, anywhere public, and to either record it or let us know how it goes. Okay, so my challenge this week is I want you to make paper puppets of either 4 or 5 Harry Potter characters or of all of the Potter girls. Now, basically, paper puppet is a drawing which you cut out and turn into something like that. These are from my challenge. I might as well show them close up while I'm at it. It's my Hagrid. I had fun with my Hagrid. And that's my Harry with his robes on. And that's Harry without his robes on. Can't it work focus? Ah, there we go. There's my Draco. And I did all these. That's my Dudley. Do you like my Dudley? He has a broom. And then there's Spills and a wand. And my Nimbus 2000. Oh, wrong way around. Nimbus 2000. So yeah, make a paper puppet of any type or style or anything. And it either has to be Harry Potter characters or it has to be of Potter girls. And that goes to 1. So that's for you, Shannon. That's a bit short notice and it may take a while, so that can be extended till next week or whenever you're available. I think that's the thing with challenges, is I think we should be able to give a little bit more time if they take a bit of time up. It's rather than questions which you can answer straight into the video. Challenges take a bit of more time. Good, it's so close to Leaky! Soon one of these weeks we're going to be like, cool, well I'll see you next week. Actually, like in person. Okay, so hopefully that was everything. That was this week's challenge and last week's challenge and this week's theme. So I guess I will see you girls throughout the week. I look forward to hearing your favourite passages. And I'll see you tomorrow, Shannon. So, yeah.
Bye, man. Can't even remember how it got. Well, like I said, it's a very... Oh! I knew it was that one, isn't it? Start again. Do it again.
Yep.
Do it again. That's for you, viewers. We love you.
Its users. Smoking face to face.
Well, what's today?
The warehouse has the hottest bargains to keep you toasty this winter. Look, 30% off a huge range of electrical heating and 40% off these cozy